Hello, my name is Elise Damon, and I am the Senior Manager of Student Development with APHA ASP. I'm so excited to have you here for our advisor and co-advisor session for webinar week. Unfortunately, the original recording did not save appropriately, so this is a redo of the slides, the information that were shared. So there won't be any dialogue that you hear from fellow advisors, but please know that you can reach out to me if you have any questions on the information that is covered, as well as if you have any questions for each other. There are modes of communication that you can use to connect, which we'll go through later in the presentation. But I wanted to, again, start off, as I mentioned, I'm Elise Damon. I serve as the Senior Manager of Student Development, and what that means is I am your main resource for all things for chapter leaders, chapter advisors, trainings, resources to support the chapter and its development, and really work hard to ensure that everybody at the chapter level feels like they have what they need to be successful in their role. So we've done a lot over the last year. I officially hit my 1 year mark in this position and have really enjoyed everything that I've had the opportunity to learn throughout the year. I know I've had a lot of conversations with many advisors and getting to learn about some of the trials and tribulations, but also the growth that's been happening as schools return to in-person and have just that excitement around being back to hosting events. A couple of things that I found exciting as I was looking through and preparing for this and thinking and reflecting back on this past year is that out of our 142 chapters in our 2021-2022 reporting cycle, we had 122 chapters that participated in Operation Diabetes, 120 that participated in Operation Heart, 123 in Operation Immunization. And this was extremely impressive as I began to pull the numbers. We, as a collective, all of our chapters administered over 1.5 million vaccines between COVID, influenza, and more. Additionally, we had 90 schools participate in Operation Reproductive Health, 107 in Operation Substance Use Disorders, and 104 in OTC Med Safety. So it's really exciting to see just the amount of growth that we've been able to have in this space, even with, again, some of those trials and challenges of managing the pandemic and having to be flexible to move things to a virtual environment. So I'm hopeful that a lot of the chapters have feel just as successful as I feel getting to see these numbers, but also that there's a lot of lessons to take out of the last few years of experience and to implement as we prepare for this upcoming semester. Another thing that I found exciting was that we had over 1,200 student pharmacists attend APHA's annual meeting in March. We had 200 student pharmacist leaders that attended our Summer Leadership Institute in July, which was a great catalyst for them to have conversations with each other, share ideas. For a lot of those individuals, it was either their first or second in-person meeting, but their first opportunity to really connect in that way. So we saw a lot of idea sharing, and I think a lot of potential with collaboration that's going to happen in the future. So it was really exciting to see and observe all of that happening in person. Additionally, over our webinar week, we've had over 800 student pharmacists that have registered for events. So again, I think it's that excitement around getting back in, getting the opportunity to serve in these roles. And really, our goal with everything is to make sure that everybody has the resources and tools they need to be successful as they serve in their positions in this coming year. So for starters, I wanted to go through what your roles and responsibilities are as a chapter advisor. I know a lot of individuals, this may be brand new as serving in this role, or for others, it's we've had a lot of advisors who have had a great tenure and continue to have support and serve the chapter. As a reminder, co-advisors, primary advisors, and new practitioner mentors sit at that top level of this diagram. And what that looks like for us is really being that individual to have oversight of the executive committee as a whole, and really being able to support the president and president-elect as they serve in their positions. Something that we've observed is that this may look a little bit different than it's looked in the past, just with getting, again, to be in person more. Potentially, your current leaders haven't had as much exposure exposure to leadership. So this is a great place for you to step in and really support your presidents and president-elects, and know as well how to kind of support them in delegating and managing the group as a whole. So with that overarching oversight of everything, you have eyes on everything to be able to support the VPs, but really, again, to support that president as they grow into that leadership position. So what does your role as an advisor look like? We know that this has changed a lot over the last couple of months. When we had the live session, a few individuals shared that they are seeing more having to do more conflict resolution and having to talk through situations and help individuals that way. They're noticing as well that they may need to step up a little bit more and be a little bit more hands-on with the projects and with the guidance of the chapter as a whole. I think the thing to remember is that a lot, in the past, there was a little bit more continuity in that being able to really share why it's so special and important to go to a live meeting. How do in-person events work when we're serving our community? How do you get members engaged? Questions like that. It used to be that you had chapter members who had served in the positions, experienced it, that they could kind of provide that insight. And unfortunately, with COVID and having to do a lot of events virtually, for many, this may be their first time having the opportunity to serve in their community and be able to really recruit members to participate. So all of this to say that it's your role is really to serve the chapter and support those individuals as they grow. And it may look different than it's looked in the past, and know that's just because they may need a little bit more of that background coming from you as the advisor. So a couple of things that we found exciting as we talked through when we had Summer Leadership Institute, we sent out a survey to all attendees with a couple of different questions to gauge where their interests lie, what areas of focus they really want us to look at and work on. And I think from that, we were able to glean a lot of interesting and new, not necessarily new ideas, but I think just confirmation of where we need to focus our energy in the coming year and years as we develop trainings and really focus in on what we're doing and what efforts we're putting together to best support our chapter leaders. And I think this information is also helpful for you to know that this is what they're looking for within their role. So one of the questions we asked is, what is one thing that you're most excited for when it comes to serving as a chapter officer? And a lot of it revolved around having leadership opportunities for fellow student pharmacists, seeing how they can get the organization to grow within their specific university and getting more members involved and engaged, having there be an excitement around the campus for the organization after the pandemic, helping others to find their role and their place in APHA, helping chapters to rebuild after COVID. Again, I know that's a theme we've talked about so far tonight, but I think just hearing it from them that they have excitement to really rebuild the culture and the energy around the chapter as a whole, as well as getting to impact the community and make those relationships. Additionally, we asked them, what is one question you have about chapter operations and running your chapter this year? So a couple themes that we saw were ways to encourage chapter members to get involved. Again, this is a great place for you to step in as the advisor to help brainstorm ideas of how they can recruit members to support events or get members at different events, fundraising strategies and recovering from low participation. Fundraising strategies, I think, is a great place, especially as we look to have more in-person meetings. There's going to be registration involved and travel involved, and we all know that that's a great investment for them early in their careers for the networking opportunities, the professional development opportunities. So I think if you can kind of help your finance VP and help the chapter to think of unique fundraising tips to support, to help support chapter members in attending events, I think that's a great area to focus some energy into. What is the most effective way to prevent burnout among everyone? I know this was another thing that was brought up by advisors, was that they're seeing some burnout for students with between work, professional engagements and different things like that. So really being able to focus in those areas, how to run a chapter successfully and how to engage students while also being respectful of their time. So a lot of great areas to focus in on here. And lastly, we asked, what is one question you have about serving as a leader? So they want to know how to make their school feel like APHA is an important aspect of the academic experience, getting the most out of their leadership position. So again, that's a great place for you to step in to really help aid them in getting the most out of that experience, as well as how they can inspire their fellow student pharmacists to participate, ways to reach out to the community. For a lot of individuals, they haven't had that opportunity to reach out to a local business or organization to see if they could have a table outside of the business or collaborate with the community pharmacy. So just helping them to know, how do you navigate those conversations? How do you recommend reaching out? Are there any contacts that you have in the area that you could kind of start that connection with and move forward? As well as how do you improve member engagement with local and national conferences? So again, great place to step in, especially as we look ahead to our mid-year regional meetings. So again, based off of all of that, your role as the advisor is really to provide that historical context and give them some insight on what things looked like in the past. And we know that it's not going to look exactly as it looked in the past, but just being able to give that guidance of, when we did have in-person events, this is a great organization that we've collaborated with before, or these are things to think about when you're planning an event. So again, providing that historical context with the caveat that there's a lot to learn from the virtual environment and from the pandemic, and moving forward in a new way of how we're going to look ahead and ultimately operate in response to what we've experienced over the last 2 years. Additionally, we're going to have some guidance that you need to provide. Again, this might look more hands-on than it did pre-pandemic. And we just ask that you really ask more questions and maybe set up more meetings than you had in the past, or touch points, just to know what's going on, so that the chapter has that guidance overall as they kind of get their feet back under them. One thing that I would highly recommend is level setting from the start. We did an activity like this at annual meeting, where the advisor sat with the chapter president and president-elect and went through a series of questions to talk through what their communication styles are, what their leadership styles are, job position descriptions. So having each other kind of write out, okay, as an advisor, I believe your job description as a president is this, and having the president write what they think their job description is, and then comparing the two to see, okay, where do we match, or maybe where did we have different expectations of each other? And from that, really getting to hone in on what expectations do we have of one another going into this year. So you'll notice that QR code will lead you to resource from annual meeting that goes through all of those questions that you can ask, and is really a great resource to just kind of start that level setting conversation. Another thing we recommend is having at least monthly meetings with the chapter president and president-elect. Again, this is just a great touch point to have, and they're looking for it. We heard that feedback at SLI that sometimes they don't know to ask for help or know how to ask for help. And so that's something we're really trying to encourage our leaders, is to know that it's okay to ask for help and that you are the individual to do so with. So setting up that meeting to have those touch points to touch base on, if there are any current issues, or what events are upcoming, what support do they need, if there's anyone they need to communicate with. And then additionally, again, supporting the fundraising efforts and ideas, so that we can hopefully support greater meeting attendance as we go back to those in-person mid-year regional meetings and our in-person annual meeting in March. So I think one thing is that, helping them to recognize areas outside of just fundraising with items, but that there's also potential funds that the campus could provide, or maybe the state association could provide, and exploring those opportunities, as well as, again, other fundraising opportunities or support opportunities that exist outside of just fundraising with items. So as far as a couple communication updates, I know that this has been shared previously, but I just wanted to reiterate that chapter admin accounts. So previously there were chapter admin accounts. That was one account that multiple people could access. We have disabled those accounts and have gone onto a new process where all chapter advisors and co-advisors have admin access, as well as once the roster's been updated, we are able to provide them the president, president-elect, membership vice president, and finance vice president the ability to update the roster, as well as pull reports. So if you have not already updated your roster, please go ahead and do so. Again, that just allows us to make sure that we have the most up-to-date roster we're utilizing that information to communicate. I know questions were asked about having leaders who serve in multiple positions, and we are going to look into that to see, to make sure that you can classify a leader for multiple positions and that there's nothing stopping us from identifying Joe Smith as being both the Operation Heart Chair and the Operation Diabetes Chair. So please know that's something we're going to look into and work on, so that you can, if you do have leaders serving in multiple responsibilities or positions, that they're getting the communications they need. Another update is that we have the engaged community. So this is a great thing. We're kind of reviving the community. So you'll notice I put up some updates. I had posted about Webinar Week, posted about the chapter admin account update. So we'll use this as a means of communication as far as getting some updates in addition to emails. But also this serves as your community place to connect with one another, ask questions, and get advice, share documents if you have any resources that you have found successful, or if you're needing some advice, again, putting that up and asking your fellow advisors and co-advisors what they recommend. One thing I will say is if you are not currently getting engaged notifications, you've automatically been enrolled to the community. So from that standpoint, what I would say is check your notification settings to make sure that you are set up to receive notifications from Engage. You'll do that by logging in, going to your settings when in Engage, and just making sure that you have the correct settings selected so that you're receiving notifications and updates. And then additionally, we have our email communications. We have our chapter executive update and our student pharmacist connection. Again, as advisors, you should be receiving all of these communications. The chapter executive update, as a reminder, is specifically for chapter leaders and has some of those chapter specific updates. And we utilize the chapter roster to send that list. So again, it's really important that your leaders are up to date in the system so that they're getting the communications they need to be successful in their role. And then we also have student pharmacist connection, and this goes to all APHA ASP members. And this is just general updates and information on things like making sure to register for an upcoming webinar, registering for an upcoming meeting, any other information where they could get involved, or things that would be helpful for them to know as a member. Now moving on to the 2022 fall membership drive, we're really looking forward to kicking this off. I know a lot of schools have already started. So just as a heads up, we do have the student outreach program available. If your school is interested, we are back to doing live and in-person outreach visits. We can do an in-person or a virtual visit if desired, but because we are able to be back in person, if it works with your chapter, we would love to do so. Either an NEC member or a staff member will come to visit the chapter, meet with chapter leaders, chapter members, and really help just to ensure the chapter is set up for success and answer any questions that you may have. I know it's a great marketing tool and recruitment tool with the fall membership drive. So please feel free to utilize that link to sign up. Just as a heads up, we are able to schedule visits through the end of October. But obviously the sooner you sign up, the easier it'll be for us to work with the dates that you have selected. And hopefully we can be flexible and find a time that connects both of us together. The next update with the fall membership drive is just a reminder that we've had an update to chapter dues. So with this update to chapter dues, as a reminder, we have standardized the national dues to $49 per student pharmacist. And that dues is comprised of $39 that goes to APHA ASP, and then $10 will go back to the chapter. So that $10 per chapter member earned can be accounted for by your finance VP as part of fundraising and chapter funds, as well as that check and reimbursement that's sent back to the chapter or rebate. It's a mix between that chapter dues / it's your rebate, $10 rebate back for each member signed up, but that will be sent back to the chapter in December. So you can plan on receiving those funds then. Of note, that's for everybody who is signed up by October 31st. If your chapter is not interested in participating in the $10 chapter dues and you just want to collect the $39 flat, you're more than welcome to do so. Please contact Drew Register to let him know that you are interested in pursuing that. As a reminder, again, we are no longer collecting state association dues. This was ultimately to make the process easier overall. versus money having to come to us get it to the state association. You can now work directly with your state association. We're highly encouraging that amongst all of our members, and we've encouraged our membership VPs, presidents, and everyone that really this is in no way discouraging state association participation. We know a lot of the state initiatives closely align with the national initiatives. So ultimately, we're just trying to not be this the lagging piece of getting information to the state association and basically just being the mover of those funds. So you'll work directly with your state associations moving forward. Additionally, chapters may collect additional chapter dues. So if your chapter is interested in collecting more than the $10 that you will get sent back from APHA, you are welcome to do so. You'll just collect that money individually. We don't need to know. You'll just have your chapter members pay that directly to the chapter itself. And then that, again, would be additional funds for your chapter to utilize. As far as goals, we heard feedback that goals were not reflective of current class sizes and sometimes felt unattainable and discouraging. So we are going to be standardizing the membership goals moving forward. Chapters will determine their goals utilizing the following information. So using the 2022-2023 enrollment data, so the fall semester enrollment data for first through third year pharmacists, the total number, we want to see 60% of that total number signed up as members. And then the second piece of that is for your final year student pharmacists. We would like to see 40% of those individuals signed up as members in that transitioning membership. So again, 60% of your first through third year student pharmacists who are eligible to be members, having them sign up, and then 40% of your final year student pharmacists. As a reminder, the registration deadline is October 31st, and we will be sending out a survey for your chapter to fill out to say, to indicate to us what your current enrollment numbers are for those two categories so that we know how to track and what your goals should be. If we do not receive a response to that survey, we will do our best to estimate and track for trends, but we will utilize the 2021-2022 enrollment data to determine your goals. So it's in your best interest so that the goals most align with your current enrollment to respond to that. And we'll send many communications and reminders to do so. But again, we want to see a goal of 60% of your first through third year student pharmacists signed up and 40% of your final year student pharmacists signed up for that transitioning membership. If you have any questions on this process, please do not hesitate to reach out. Additionally, we wanted to let you know that we have moved the membership drive boxes to be completely virtual. We know that there's sometimes been issues of where they're getting delivered, how quickly they're getting delivered. So this helps to streamline that process so that all resources are readily available for you. And if we come up with any additional resources, it's really easy for us to get them to you and get them to your membership VPs. So the box is now virtual completely, and you'll notice we have information on the fall membership drive. We have flyers and brochures for that, for gaining those new members, retaining previous members, as well as we'll have an updated membership vice president quick guide and fall membership drive presentation. And then we'll also have information for the transitioning membership. So even though the fall membership is focused on those new members and retaining prior members, this is still an opportunity to get transitioning members signed up if they may have missed the spring membership drive. Overall, your point of contact for the fall membership drive is Drew Register. So please feel free to reach out to him if you have any specific questions regarding the fall membership drive. We did hold a session for membership vice presidents. So that recording is live on the webinar week page and is a great opportunity just to review overall the fall membership drive and any important logistics and resources that are available to support you, your membership VP, and your chapter as you begin to recruit. Moving on to mid-year regional meetings and the Innovative Programming Award. So I say this with the biggest caveat, these are tentative dates. We are working to finalize dates, and as soon as we have them, we will share them and make sure that everything is updated and everyone is aware of what the dates are. So these are the tentative dates that you can plan for. Again, with the big caveat that these are tentative. So as soon as we have those final dates, we will have them updated on the MRM homepage, and we'll be sure to share that information. One of the new things that we're doing with the mid-year regional meeting is we have taken the Innovative Programming Award out of the chapter achievement report and are going with a new format for this award. So part of the reason of this is that it gives student pharmacists another opportunity to create a poster, present, and ultimately allows them to collaborate and share ideas. When the innovative ideas were in the chapter achievement report, unfortunately, it was just a group of 5, the award standing committee, who were reading them. And there were a lot of great ideas that weren't being shared to the masses. So this is our opportunity to do so. So you'll notice that it's for any event that's been completed in the last 24 months, and chapters can submit for if it's a single event, if it's an ongoing event or meeting that the chapter's hosted. And then the biggest thing with this is just it cannot be your PharmFlix video, and it cannot be any of the nationally recognized projects, since there's already an awards program set up for those items. So again, this is a way to identify new and innovative things that we don't have the opportunity to recognize yet. Again, this is just a new opportunity for professional development, an area for the student pharmacists to share and learn from each other, and then also to plan for the future. So learning things from one another at their region, and then taking that home and implementing it for the upcoming year. So again, it's an event that's been completed in the last 24 months, and a single event, a meeting, or a series that the chapters develop that they find innovative. The regional component of this is that they will present a poster at the mid-year regional meeting, and they have the opportunity to do an optional video as well, supporting that poster and describing it at a max of 2 minutes. And then the chapter delegates will vote on their most innovative idea, and then that regional winner will be the representative for their region, and we'll move on to the final competition at APHA's annual meeting. So that's the national level component of this piece. And that will look at having the 8 regional winners present their idea in about 10-minute presentation to share with the group and really explain what their innovative idea was, what the impact was, and how others can implement it. And then they'll again present that, and a selection committee will review and select the winner. And the winning chapter will get a monetary prize, a plaque, and a feature in Student Pharmacist magazine. So a couple important dates that are upcoming for this. So October 3rd, we're having everybody submit their idea online just to make sure that it's eligible. So they'll submit a title and a brief description. And then again, the eligibility thing is just making sure that it's not related to any nationally recognized awards like the Operation Heart, Diabetes, et cetera, or PharmFlix. And then the Monday prior to the region's MRM, they will need to submit a PDF of their poster and the link to the optional video. There's a lot more information on the Innovative Programming Award. There's a video from our summer intern, Sammy, who helped to brainstorm and put this together, really going through the steps and components of the Innovative Programming Award, as well as there's resources there. So we'll continue to update that as the submission forms become available and as final dates become available for when items will be due. But this is a great place to look and go to begin investigating and familiarizing yourselves with the new Innovative Programming Award that we're offering. And then I just wanted to follow up as well with a couple of additional events, dates, and notes to have and be aware of as we enter into the fall semester. So for starters, make sure that you keep in mind the local patient counseling competition. I know that can seem like a far ways away, but it's a great time to start planning now. We really encourage that you begin planning by October to make sure that you have your local competition set up so that you are ready to submit your representative for the national competition when that opens up. Additionally, we wanted to remind you, we always say around here, December 1 is a big deadline for us. One of the reasons that date is so important to note is that individual awards and scholarship applications are due then. So again, this is a great time to remind your chapter members to apply for those scholarships and really take advantage of the benefits that they have, as well as to nominate a dean, a student, or anyone that they feel is deserving of these individual awards. Again, all application materials are due December 1st. And then we also wanted to remind you that we offer other opportunities for development as well. So we have the national leadership positions of standing committees, and those applications are due December 1st. So as a reminder, we have a total of 5 standing committees. We have the Award Standing Committee, International Standing Committee, Communications Standing Committee, Member Engagement Standing Committee, and the Policy Standing Committee. So all applications are due then. As a reminder too, if an individual is planning to run for a national position, such for the National Executive Committee, we still encourage them, if they have interest in serving in the standing committee, to apply for that standing committee position and then follow up by applying for the National Executive Committee. Just because that way, if again, limited spots within NEC, so if they don't receive that position and they're still interested in being a leader, they have that opportunity to serve on a standing committee. I know there can be some confusion, and we'll make sure to cover that in any informational webinars we host, but just as a reminder for you, as you're disseminating information and encouraging your chapter members to apply, that if they have any interest at all, it's always worth throwing your name into the hat and seeing if you are able to serve in this capacity. Additionally, we have our experiential program, our APPE program, and that application is due December 1st as well. So if you have any students who are going to be going out on their final year of rotations, make sure if they have any interest in association management or would like to come and explore what that field looks like, we highly encourage that they apply for a rotation experience with APHA. Another important thing to note is the FarmFlix competition. So your chapter members will be hopefully working towards this. We're excited to announce that this year's theme coincides with the presidential theme of Courage to Change. So just as a heads up, the campaign itself and information regarding the theme have been launched. So schools can begin to work together on figuring out how they want to interpret this year's theme. On September 13th, we'll have an informational webinar where our National President Kennedy will go ahead and go through the FarmFlix informational webinar and really help to provide some insight for all chapters interested in participating. And then December 1st is when all of the submission materials are due. So it's really important that chapters mark that December 1st date. It's a lot of things going on for that day. And then in February, those videos are reviewed and the top contenders are shown at the annual meeting and voted upon. So as a reminder, that's the process, but the big thing now is just to make sure that you're communicating with your chapter that this is an opportunity for them to participate in if they are interested. Additionally, we wanted to share for the chapter achievement report, we have a couple of helpful resources that we've put together. We did have, during our patient care VP and our patient care chair sessions, we really highlighted these features, but based off some feedback that we've received, we have released tentative guidelines. So we have some preliminary guidelines that are on the website now for the 2022-2023 reporting cycle. We don't anticipate many, if any, changes happening to those preliminary guidelines, but we will release our finalized guidelines in January of 2023 to ensure that chapters have all of the information that they need to be successful in pulling together information and preparing for the chapter achievement report submission. We know that it's a lot of work, so we are trying to do our best to help ease any heartache with that and pulling together that information. So as mentioned, the preliminary guidelines are live online. We've also created a couple of additional resources to help support chapters in their reporting efforts. So we have a glossary of terms to ensure that everybody's reporting on the same things and that we're all looking for the same things as we report. Another new tool that we've developed is a reporting tool. So I know a lot of schools have methods in which they're collecting the information, but this tool is an Excel document that chapters can use to record all of their information from the year. And it has specifically all of the fields that we ask for in the final chapter achievement report, or the anticipated fields. So that way chapters are collecting the correct information as they're hosting events and can do it in the moment. versus trying to remember months later what happened at those specific events. So that tool is live right now, and we'll be releasing a video that kind of walks chapters through how to utilize that tool to the biggest degree to get the best benefit out of it. Again, all of that information is live on the Chapter Achievement Awards homepage. And then another thing, I know it feels far away, but just as a reminder to focus in and start planning for your 2023-2024 chapter elections. And I know you're probably thinking we just got started, and that's true. But part of the reason is that when looking at the full training cycle that we have in mind for our for the chapters and for all of our chapter leaders, when we do elections in February, that really helps to set up the position for success, because when they're elected in February, they know what position they are going to be in that next academic year, that they can attend that initial training at annual meeting for their position. And that helps to really lay the groundwork for what their role is, what their responsibilities are. So that way, when you have a transitions meeting and they transition into their position, they have an idea of what kinds of questions to ask, as well as they can start to really get brainstorming ideas and pulling items together for your summer retreat so that they can prepare for the fall semester. And then in the summer, we encourage you to have your retreats. We also have the Summer Leadership Institute that leaders can participate in. In August, we do a webinar week training. So that's what everybody is participating in now. But really the goal with that webinar week training is to provide any important updates to prepare leaders for that upcoming semester, as well as provide them the opportunity to collaborate and connect with fellow positions from across the country. So really utilizing that time to not be that baseline education, but to be that time to really hone in on any specific updates and help ensure that they feel prepared moving into that semester. Additionally, then we have our mid-year regional meetings. In January, we host a booster session for webinar week to help provide any important updates for the spring semester. And then we move into that next round of elections. In February, they'll attend the annual meeting, and then they will transition out of their position in the April-May timeframe. So again, I know February can feel like an aggressive timeframe and that it feels like early, but hopefully this helps to kind of build some framework around why we're encouraging that timeline, just based off of our overall initiatives and training plans for all of our leaders moving forward. And then additional announcements to provide. So just as a reminder, here are some important dates. We do have our outreach visits happening currently. So if your chapter has not signed up, make sure that they sign up. If you all are interested in having an NEC member or staff member come visit you and help to talk through some things that you're facing or some things that you're excited about, or all of the above. Additionally, we have that informational webinar. October is American Pharmacist Month. So more details and information regarding the month will be released soon. So keep checking the pharmacist.com website for updates and information. As a reminder, October 3rd is that innovative programming topic title and description deadline. We have our mid-year regional meetings at the end of October, beginning of November. Fall membership drive is going through October 31st. So just as a reminder that anybody who is signed up by that October 31st deadline, your $10 chapter dues rebate that will be sent back to the chapter will be distributed in December. Anyone who is signed up after that October 31st date, their $10 will be accounted for in the distribution check from the spring semester. And then again, December 1 is a big deadline for us. So just keeping that marked on your calendars as something to remind your chapters about, your leaders about, and your members about, to take advantage of all the opportunities that APHA offers for them. And then January 11th is our webinar week booster session. So here's a QR code that you can scan to get back to the webinar week page if you need to at any point. All of these resources, the recordings, slides, and any additional notes will remain live, that everyone can continue to access it throughout the year. And then we encourage you to sign up today for the webinar week January booster. The January booster is going to serve as that, again, that session that really just helps to ignite and make sure everybody is up to date for the spring semester, and any important updates are being distributed to everybody. as well as offering opportunities for collaboration with each of the specific positions to discuss ideas and anything that they've learned from the fall semester that they'd like to share with their peers for the spring semester. I want to thank you all for attending. As always, if you have questions, please feel free to reach out to me. My email is edamon@aphanet.org. If you have any membership drive specific questions, please reach out to Drew Register. He's going to be your best point of contact. And if you're ever not sure of who the best point of contact is for your question, you can send it to myself or send it to the apha-asp@aphanet.org email, and we'll make sure that it gets to the right person. But I want to thank you all for serving in your positions, and thank you for listening into all of these updates. We're really looking forward to this upcoming semester and cannot wait to see all of the things that you and your chapters accomplish throughout the year. So thank you.